There was a joke by Kenny G's drummer recently. He came and watched me play and he's like, the way you talk to me, if I was like a girl in the club, I will fall in love with you. But I was like that wouldn't happen because I don't love that girl in the club. But I love your music, I love your drumming, you know.
Welcome to the One Day at a Time podcast, where we take things one day at a time. Today in the studio, we have Benny.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, Benny? Can you do a quick introduction about yourself?
Hi, I'm Benny. I'm the founder of Singapore Drum Shop and Singapore Drum Academy, and I'm a friend of JJ.
Nice. Okay, so today I got Benny into the studio because I think Benny is pretty amazing at what he does. He has a lot of passion for basically living life, pursuing your passion.
Yeah.
But also Benny is born with a condition.
Yeah,
right.
I had like Asperger's, which is like a high functioning level of autism. I had like dyslexia when I was younger and ADHD. So like my first Chinese words when I wrote when I was like 6 years old, it was like from bottom to top. It was.
I see.
Yeah. And yeah, I had a hard time like focusing in school. So I dropped off my secondary school when I was like Sec 4. But started this business when I was 18, very thankfully, and everything sort of went pretty well now.
Definitely. So you actually have quite a few conditions, like you mentioned dyslexia as well. Are you still affected by dyslexia, or you have gotten gotten over it already?
I don't think so, because like, you know, you rarely write stuff nowadays.
Fair enough.
Other than signing checks or contracts. But I think it's okay. I think it took a while to sort of go through that. I think that was more or less gotten through while I was in primary school. But I think certain things like ADHD and like Asperger's took a lot longer. Like,
right.
For me to look you in the eye when I talk to you, it was like years of training for me to be more open, to be, you know, less about what I like. I mean, like, friends who know me back then will be like, yeah, if I like football, I like drums, it's like, that's all I'm going to talk for 8 hours today.
Right.
And I think after some time, you kind of know, like, yeah, you have to sort of spray out a bit and take it easy. Yeah.
I see. So at what age, right? Let's talk about this condition like Asperger's first. You mentioned it's a high functioning form of autism. So at what age did you realize that? Yeah. That
was realized because my teachers during my primary school time, during primary 5 and 6, and during secondary school time, they realized that, yeah, I have some behavioral problems, and they sent me to like the psychologist to get sort of like diagnosed. From there.
This is like primary, very
5, 6.
Okay, quite young lah.
Sec 1, Sec 2.
10 to 13 years old kind of period.
Yeah, but I think with like ADHD and dyslexic, that was like, I think when I was in like kindergarten or primary 1.
Oh, okay. So much earlier.
That was much earlier, but I think they probably didn't realize at the time it was that sort of serious.
Right, correct.
But I have to say that, like, when I'm in the West, right, it's very common. But I think in a more conservative culture here, it's not so common.
Yeah, because I mean, we are around the same age lah. We are the same age lah, actually.
Yeah.
And I think back then when we were in kindergarten or whatever, mental health and this kind of thing wasn't very talked about also. So when you have ADHD, people will just say like, oh, just young lah, young, energetic and naughty kind of thing, right? They don't actually think that, oh, it's something that is quite serious and can affect your life in the long run. Right. Yeah, and then like from there on, you kind of also over time realize that actually you got this condition called Asperger's.
I think during my earlier years, I didn't even realize it that it was so so-called serious or what, until like I got into like some really big trouble in school when I was like in Sec 3 and 4.
Okay.
Then after that, when I dropped out, then I started to realize that, yeah, this was what it was. But then that was about the time when I picked up drums and music. So I think the journey was actually really interesting for me. And I mean, at that point of time, my school, they were like, yeah, they should accept, they were like telling my mom like, yeah, you should send him to Pathlight to study or something like that.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it will be quite interesting because I've never really shared about this. So I think a lot of people don't know about it. So I think like when I started my business when I was 18, right? So I think part of the condition being brash sort of also piss off some people. I think it make some really good friends who like my honesty, and some who were upset with my directness.
Right.
But I think it sort of went good and bad in a way, because when I started off, I was very, very connected in the US and all that, and Europe. And I think that's what they like. And especially they probably didn't see like a younger guy, a Chinese guy from my region and my age that is sort of similar to their mindset and sort of similar in their lingo in terms of being direct and straightforward. And I think that sort of helped me. Like I felt that I had to go with a different route. Like if I did not got accepted in other parts of the world, I probably wouldn't have been able to do what I do now today back in Asia. In Singapore.
Because we in the Asian culture, we are a lot more conservative.
Yeah.
Right. So like for you, you are more direct lah. Like basically you talk got no filter, right?
Yeah.
You just be a bit more candid, and maybe like Asperger's also probably a bit less aware of someone else's so-called reactions, emotions. Is that correct?
Yeah, that was really pretty rampant during the teenage years. But after some time, I think like the good thing about like us is like we have very good memory. So like after a while, you kind of know and you sort of become like careful, or you just keep quiet lor. Like for me, I wouldn't do a lot of social gatherings, or I wouldn't do a lot of stuff, because I just feel like I don't want to. But I also felt that it is interesting because like I do a lot of stuff, right? But I suppose most people will know me from like the photos I take with various artists around the world.
Yeah, correct.
Not just
celebrities,
in US or Europe, but also in
everywhere,
Taiwan, in Thailand, and wherever.
Yeah.
So I think it really worked out in a way, because when you have time with a really famous guy, like let's say if you have a chat with JJ Lin, not JJ, or like Guns N' Roses or Red Hot Chili Pepper, right? It's like okay, you have like a 2-minute period, right? Like okay, very candidly tell them honestly what you think you can do for them, or like how much you like them or what, and try to make a connection or a friendship through there. And it's very quick. And I think that for me, it's like if I really like something, I will really like it. If I don't like it, then I just keep quiet lah. And I feel that worked out very well. So there was a joke by Kenny G's drummer recently. He came and watched me play, and he's like the way you talk to me, if I was like a girl in a club, I will fall in love with you. But I was like that wouldn't happen, because I don't love that girl in the club. But I love your music, I love your drumming,
Nice.
Yeah.
I really like how you've probably gone through a little bit of a journey, and now you are very candidly and very upfront, right? You're sharing about the positive effects that Asperger's actually brought you lah.
Yeah.
Even though it is a condition, at some point you know that you're a bit different, but you have managed to kind of make an entire life and career, a fruitful one, out of this condition. And you never, so far at least, you never even focus on like, the negative consequences of it lah, which I was gonna ask you later on anyways about do you think Asperger's has actually helped you in any way, which you actually summarize it very perfectly already. But growing up, because now you are obviously you're almost 30, right? And you've gone through a little bit of a very good one. You've gone through a little bit of a life journey, and you're now a lot more aware of your condition and people around you, and you can see how your condition has actually brought you some pretty awesome things in life. Right? But through this 20 plus years of trying to figure this out, have you ever felt like this is a little bit of a sad thing for you? Like why do you have this condition, and do you hope that maybe you can actually read people's emotions better, or be less direct? Has any of these thoughts ever gone through your head before?
I think during the earlier time it did happen. But I feel that actually nowadays, honestly, I'm actually a lot more savvier. So sometimes even doing work, right? Like I'll tell, like, for instance, Alfie, like, hey, I think this is gonna happen, or what, and then he's like, oh, and then a day or two later, it's like, hey, yeah, fortune teller, that really happened. That's like his number one lingo. So I feel that I'm very thankful for the fact that my condition has its privileges in terms of memory and all that. So I have gone through it lah. So I mean, like this podcast is like the first time I'm saying this out publicly in 10 years. Even during the very early years when I got into issues like competitors bullying or that, I did thought like, yeah, should I make a post? Then I felt like there's no point because ultimately there's no use for me to get sympathy or anything, because at the end of the day I'm also trying to do my stuff, to live my life. Everybody has different issues and all that lah. So I felt that it was never really one thing for me to come out and say this and feel like, hey, I'm very pitiful, please help me or what. But I felt that like I have gone through this enough where like I'm happy to share it. Like even if somebody from watching this podcast know that, okay, this is his weakness and want to come towards me as a competitor or somebody just, I'm like, I'm fine, because I have sort of gone through this a lot. And especially during the pandemic, when you have 3 years or 2.5 years to think through things, right? Like, yeah, I'm very secure in my life. I'm very secure with things. I'm very happy, and like I even did an email to Denise Poa to thank her and say like, if you need my help, I would love to help you out in Pathlight. Who's the mayor of Singapore, who's in charge of all this autism stuff. So it was difficult, but if I didn't have my family support, I didn't have friends support, and if I didn't have like the early success in the business, right, I think it would have been a lot more difficult for me.
I mean, you're pretty lucky lah, right? You figured this out quite early in life also.
Yeah.
Because when you dropped out of school because of your condition, you got into a little bit of trouble, you dropped out of school. It could have gone like pretty bad lah.
It could have like my parents were even at the point, they were at a period of time they were very planning like, yeah, if like this, like how do we set aside things to sustain for him?
Yeah.
Double-aged kind of thing. But I felt like I never really felt that way when I was younger. I just felt like I'm just being myself. So I think I was just being sort of very artistic, but at the point of time I didn't realize I have like a passion and love for arts until like later, which is 15 years old is pretty late, I have to say, to get into it.
Not really lah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, like you dropped out of school at like what, 15 years old,
16,
right?
Yeah.
16 years old, and then at 18 years old, 18 years young, you already started your own business.
Yeah, I was very lucky.
Because you were going to kind of pursue your passion lah, right? You didn't in some ways you didn't hesitate to kind of pursue what you wanted to do. You probably at that time didn't really even know what that means for you lah, right? Starting a business in music and drumming and right now you managed to, more than 10 years later, you managed to build it and you're still here, which is a pretty crazy miracle considering how retail business is slowly dying out.
And also like the whole thing was founded by me myself lah. Like my mom helps out in accounts and all that. But like at the very early ages, like the things that she tell me, I mean, she's a banker, and I don't believe her. And now I'm paying the price for that. But I was very lucky because when I was like 15, I got a part-time job at Swee at Sims Drive, which is just down the road.
Nice.
And then 16, I was in Bras Basah. Then at 17, this shop called Sound Alchemy gave me a chance to sort of be their seller. So I was active on like Soft, which is the pre-carousel.
A music forum, right?
Then I bought some stuff from the US shop in Texas, and then I resell it here. And then after like 17, when I retook my O-levels and all that, the owner is called Eric, E-R-I-K, and he's like, I have a wife from China and she wants to bring her kids here, but it's too much risk to bring once. But yes, you're from Singapore, it's easy for you to come. Why not you come for 3 months, be an intern? And then I was know how it's like to have like a teenage Chinese godson. So I went there and I sort of learned majority of my things there from him.
Okay.
So when I came back, I was just pretty much taking concepts from his store and all that. And I noticed that point of time in our region, not just in Singapore, but our region, that it was not rampant. It was not happening, and I tried to make it happen. And at the time, the economy in Singapore was going good. founding father, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, was still alive. Everything was very good. So I think the foundation came from there. And then through that, coupled with a lot of drinking, in all these music parties and all that, and concerts and all that, then the connection sort of gets built. Because like I sort of also started this business because I wanted to have earn my own money to be able to party and drink.
Okay.
And I didn't want to study.
Right.
So I did not want to go to take a degree or what.
Right.
And I sort of am very, very lucky at the very start. It happened. If I had started it like today, it probably wouldn't have woke up.
I mean, you never know lah.
Yeah.
Right? You never know. So I mean, it's been a long journey for you of firstly figuring out what this is in the first place even, and finding out that actually you have multiple conditions like dyslexia, ADHD and Asperger's. And actually I'm quite curious to know as well, you know, what I mean, I know we are not medical professionals, but like usually, right, what are the symptoms of Asperger's?
I think that it has a lot to do. I think Asperger's, first of all, is part of autism, and in Mandarin it's like they call it 自闭症, right? And 自闭basically means
Asperger's is 自闭症.
Yeah, 自闭 means like, you know, you're by yourself, introverted.
Right.
So like what I'm talking to you now is sort of like a persona.
Right.
Because I'm a businessman and I have to talk. But like if I'm with my closest friend, sometimes we might just sit down at a bar and we look at each other for like 2 hours and just like and we feel like, hey, actually that's very comfortable. Right. So Asperger's is sort of like, I would say, if I'm not wrong, the highest spectrum out there. So when I was younger, like there was an IQ test being taken, right, and I could like memorize like 13 numbers from front to back and back to front. Yeah, and I think that was that's also one of the things, the memory and all that. But I think like the social skills, the you know, the interest, like our interests are very one-sided. Right. So if we like something, we are like we are fully into it. Right. So I think that pretty much sums it up, I would say.
I see. So essentially you kind of like exchange your social abilities for a super awesome memory. Yeah. And just being very focus, right, on the things that you love. Yeah. Which is probably like especially in your words, like you're a very positive person also. You mentioned that actually this thing, right, like this ability to have good memory and this like hyper focus thing actually help your business to succeed. And to come out, I mean, for anybody, whether no matter you're smart or you're dumb or whatever condition you have, for a 18-year-old person to come out and start a business and to have run that business for more than 10 years is actually very rare. Yeah. It's very, very rare, even for just, you know, everyday, just normal businesses, right? And some more your business is, I would say, a little bit tougher because it's not just retail, but it's retail in not just music, but specifically drums. Yeah. Right. So it's like, it's not just niche, but it's ultra niche, and it's retail, which is kind of dying. Yeah. Right. And you're doing it because you are hyper focused on, you discovered drumming when you were 15 and you love this shit so much. Yeah. You went into, you decided to start a business out of it after you dropped out, and like it really worked out for you. Right, but in the beginning, but in the beginning, you mentioned that you're struggling quite a bit lah. Like, you know, your competitors were not very nice. They were trying to use your so-called, I guess like bully you until you quit maybe kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, in hindsight, also I felt that possibly me being myself, being that young and all that, and being very direct, it probably also cheats off a fair share of people, and also make a fair share of friends. So I thought that it happens, but I have to share that like what you say is true. Like the business is that much. There can only be that much room in the market around the world, and that's why I've been focusing a lot on other stuff and working on. So I think like I have to give a very special shout out to someone who's really important in my life. I mean, other than my family, which is this good friend who was a customer turned into a good friend and partner, Mr. Romy Sokarno from Indonesia. He gave a lot of support gave me a lot of advice and stuff. And brought me in to meetings and let me learn stuff. So I'm very, very thankful to him for that. And also different people around who, especially in Europe and stuff, they were like, you are very young and you are like probably the only guy I know from the region that contacts us and can talk to us, and we really want to help you, and we really want to make sure that you succeed, because if you don't succeed, then we do not know who else is around that we can lean towards.
Right.
So very early on, like brands like TRX Symbols, the owner of like Paisty, Eric Paisty, different guys, they really, really helped me a lot. And I think that I started to realize that I had this connection with certain people that are very quiet, that there are certain people who might just reply your email once a year, and somehow after meeting them, right, I think they could feel my energy, and they could be people who end up replying me texts in 10 minutes instead of 1 year. So I think that it is very, very interesting how this whole thing works. And as I'm doing more stuff now, like that is related to my business, let's just say with the artists, right? Trying to help them to do collabs, do projects and all that, I start to realize that these things actually do help a lot. And I think it's a lot of times is the energy you give out, and people could feel the energy, and they're like, I want to help. Like for instance, like the drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers, Chad Smith, he was very, very kind. Like we met each other a couple of times in LA, and then the last time when I approached him last year during November, and I asked him like, hey, can I like film a video of you and you say hi? Yes, and then he was like, the Singapore drum shop is the greatest drum shop in the world, which is definitely not true lah. But with this kind of stuff, it's like all of a sudden you feel like actually God and the universe is very kind to me, because at the end of the day, I don't think that I sort of had such a difficult start as compared to people in Africa, but I got all these great opportunities that are really priceless, that I would never have thought that it would have happened. And like with Eric, when he introduced me to Dongli Huoche, and then the next day they were like, hey, do you want to play today at indoor? I was like, oh shit. And then I was like, oh, I think not. And then they did a feature for me in the middle of the concert for almost 3 minutes, and these are like really priceless things that I sort of look back and I'm like, I'm very thankful for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I mean, because you know, just now you also mentioned that because you are very direct because of Asperger's, you tend to just be super direct, and that people actually do appreciate that, right? Especially in other parts of the world. Like, you know, like you talk about Chad Smith, right? The drummer of Red Hot Chili Peppers. You know, for a lot of us Asians, maybe we go to like a convention or whatever, we see him, a lot of Asian people are like, oh, paiseh, you know, and then like, oh, can take photo kind of thing. But for you is, you know, it's just, okay lah, just go, you talk, and then you build the bond, you build the connection. And that's what you have been doing your entire life. Sometimes people maybe they don't feel that connection with you, and then they just don't be your friend. But for most of the time, you have built these connections with many huge I would say, like, you know, just now you talk about like Paisty, like TRX, which are like huge symbol brands, you know, in the world, and you talk about like these people that you have met literally everywhere in the world, right? Like Dongli Huoche from Taiwan, Chad Smith from Red Hot Chili Peppers, US, and like all these places, because you have this genuine want to build a connection. Whereas I think maybe that is why you were able to kind of like a breakthrough, because, you know, like you say, you're a businessman, you kind of have to learn how to talk. But a lot of times, maybe a lot of business people, right? I'm sure in your experience, a lot of business people, they talk, they are so-called upfront, they are straightforward, or rather they take the initiative. The objective is to grow their business, is to maybe get somebody to do an endorsement or something like that. But for you, it's a bit different, right? For you, you just want to get to know the person, no?
I think ultimately, yes, I would love to grow my business and stuff, grow myself. But I think it's also, a genuine love for the craft, for my industry, and also the love for the person, for what the artist has contributed to arts. And sometimes you will know them as an artist, and if you're lucky enough, if they love you, then they would want you to know them as a person. So
Correct.
I feel that that is sort of my goal, is like, I really like this personal artist, and I just feel like even if it's a photo or whatever, it's cool. But if it goes more, then it will be interesting lah. Like I love this Thai rock band called Potato.
Yes.
So recently when I went to Thailand for like a work trip, and then I went to the Impact Arena, which is like the indoor stadium of Singapore. They were like the festival headliners, and I had a long chat with Pap, who is the lead singer lah. Then we chatted for like 1-2 hours, and then he was like, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you find me a new genre of music and bring it into Thailand?" And I was like, "Wow, I certainly did not expect that." But then I thought about it, I thought of some artists that I know that maybe they could collab together and work out on something. But I feel that sometimes you really wouldn't know what happens, and sometimes the connection stuff is very interesting, because during pre-COVID time, I will go to UK every year for the shows, and then I'll meet all these guys, and I became friends with the drummer of Kasabian, Ian Matthews, with Stereophonics and different bands. And sometimes you get like a phone call at 3 a.m. and then you get asked for something, and then it actually sort of links around to it, and your number just gets shared more and more, and then before you know it, you're like, actually, they are all sort of connected in a very small circle, and you just be that guy that you're very genuine, you're reliable, and you can get the things done for them.
Yeah.
And I think this is very important, not just in the arts industry, but also in just in general in work lah.
In life lah.
In life, yeah. So I think it's interesting lah. But I felt that over time, as you know, you and I, we get older, right? You do realize that you can't have everything you want, and you can't have fun 24/7. So you sort of have to go through a more boring routine. So I used to come to work loving to do sales, but now when I'm at my company, all I do is admin work. I have to force myself to love it. You
gotta do what you gotta do for the company to survive.
Yeah, but I think that it's always a mixed package, and maybe like 10 years later I watch back this and I'm like, this was what I thought back then when I was 28, and maybe I'm 38 or 48 now, and like actually what I think of things is even different, because the experiences and stuff will change.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really like how you talk about your entire journey with Asperger's and figuring out like what this is even for you, but there has never been a single moment in our entire conversation that you even saw this as a disability, because you have just kind of lived and breathed and accepted this and made this a part of your whole journey lah, right?
There are actually certain people, when I talk to them, they are like, wow, I wish I have this because I could have that and that. And like, okay.
Yeah, like you see, I mean, it's quite amazing, because I think you, at this juncture in your life, for you and the people around you, almost see this as like a superpower.
Yeah.
Right. But in everywhere in the world, for people who don't understand what autism is, maybe they like you say, like, oh, you don't want people to pity you. Maybe they will see it as like, oh no, Benny, I need to, when I talk to him, I need to be careful a bit, because I don't know how he'll react. Like I think people have like this kind of misconceptions towards people on the spectrum, maybe. Right.
I had like incident before years ago that probably made me not want to do an interview like this until today, where a drum teacher brought in and it's like, hey, this young girl has also your condition, and the dad was like trying to take advantage of me when he was like buying stuff, and I felt like, wow, this is quite how to say in Chinese, 贱.
Yeah, it's not very nice lah.
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous. So I felt like, you know what, probably not now I will want to say something like that. And also I feel that because such with such incidents, with such conditions and all that, and with people coming out being candid, right? I'm also worried that, like, okay, if people were to try and find me, and then I'm like, I'm sorry, I just, part of being the 自闭, being the introverted I am, I might be like, I'm sorry, today I just don't have the energy to try to help you because I feel very overwhelmed by work or stuff, or maybe I didn't sleep well last night and I'm just trying to go through my day and smoothly. So I feel that, yeah, you do have to be extrovert. And I really respect people when they can go on IT show and they could be the first guy out there selling like 70% off TV. Right. Because I know, like, if I was there, I'll be like the worst salesman there. Yeah. So,
but in many ways, you still like, even though you say this, right, like you still have a little bit of worry that, like, maybe people will judge you or take advantage of you because of the condition. But in many ways, you have overcome it and embraced it so much, right, that for the first part of the entire our conversation, and thank you so much for coming here to do this also, to share very vulnerably. But you already accepted this, and is in many ways, right, like your superpower already, because you you made something out of it. And despite maybe a lot of misconceptions in society of what it's like for people on the spectrum, like, at some point someone said to you, hey, you should go to Pathlight, and things like that, which a lot of people do mean well when they say these things, but there are also a lot of people in the world who don't understand it. That's why they think that, for the path for people like Benny, right, is to go Pathlight or Northlight and then, like, do some menial job, kind of thing. Like, it's a very strong misconception, but you prove everybody wrong. Of course, like, with some support from family, friends, and some luck involved, you prove everybody wrong by just screwing it, not even going to a school, starting your own business, and, like, grinding it out for so many. I mean, you make it sound pretty easy. You just talk to people, but I know it's a lot of hard work, lah. It's a lot of hard work and, like, self-doubt and all that, like, not knowing whether you can even survive the next week kind of thing.
Okay, lucky. Fortunately, not so bad. But I think it's also a lot of like people like us. We think a lot, and we are very sensitive creatures, and we think a lot. And I think it's over time is learning how to shut it off. So like my nightly, like, couple of beers is very nice because I will just shut off, and that's when actually my ideas come out. And then I write down on notes. And but just a disclaimer, we don't promote alcohol or encourage alcohol. This is just Benny's way of, like, dealing with it. Please don't, like, drown yourself in beer and stuff. But I know beer is also, you love beer. Like, every time I see you, you are just, like, drinking and playing drums and just basically being happy, enjoying. Except for the admin work, maybe. Also, okay. I mean, I take it as part of like the part of a journey. You have to take it like a game. You have to go step by step, and I'm very glad. Like, recently we have this distribution of this new brand called Remo, and the brand has been around since 1958. So if I'm not wrong, we are like the second distributor appointed by the company since like 1958, which is like even longer than the assistance of my parents. So I think with that, these are like responsibilities where, like, when I started off a business, you don't feel that when you wake up. But nowadays, I feel like, I wake up, I have to do this, I have to do that. I have to make, like, the decision makers in these companies who support me. I have to do them right and do them proud and
correct.
And all that, and my workers and all that. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing this, Benny. I think it's very amazing, and I think you are like almost like a living proof that, even if you might be on the spectrum with some form of autism, maybe not Asperger's in specifically, but maybe you're on the spectrum, or whoever that is watching or listening to this podcast, maybe they're on the spectrum. But, like, for you, Benny, with a strong support system, your family, your friends, and a passion, you can make something very beautiful out of your life, and not just, so-called succumb to what society thinks you should be doing as somebody on the spectrum, because there is still, unfortunately, a lot of misconceptions about people on the spectrum. But you have proven to like me and everybody, literally you're freaking hanging out with like Chad Smith, and like you have you're hanging out with so many huge musicians because of your passion in music and drums. And I think if there is any so-called definition of like you made it, is this like you made it. So whether you're going to continue to make it forever for the rest of the next 10 years or not, I mean, remains to be seen, right? But
there are actually exciting things happening. So like during the pandemic, when we were all sad and depressed and all that, and like one band that I really love listening to a lot is Pasan Yao, which everybody knows from the Sam Jian song,
right,
in the Chinese market. It was like probably the biggest hit in 2019 and 2020, and I think I got to know them through the drummer, just by a random DM in the middle of the night. And then after the friendship, right, we sort of have this thing coming out where we are doing a collab which will be a first of its kind in the Chinese market. And I had someone from America calling me like Benny, you know how many thousands of lives you're gonna change when this happened. I'm like, oh really? I didn't really thought of it so much, but I'm really looking forward to the project coming out very soon. And I look forward to doing more stuff that comes in when the opportunity comes to continue to enrich not just my own goals in life, but also that it can enrich people around, that can bring some positivity over. And one last thing that I haven't been sharing is actually in our shop we sell a lot of sound healing equipment. So I was very lucky.
Did you say sound healing?
Sound healing, yeah.
Oh,
which it has got to do with like your hand pans,
like a steel drum kind of thing.
Yeah, your gongs, your planet gongs, and all that. So I'm very lucky that the person who created this concept, Mr. Yen Zuger, he's in his 60s now. When we met, the connection was very strong. So he endorsed me, and I got the rights to a lot of great products, which we actually work with a lot of amazing sound healers in Bali, in Bangkok, in Malaysia, and especially in Singapore. Yeah, and that part of the business is very, very interesting, and very, very niche also. And I feel that is one business that actually gave me this feeling that actually what I'm doing is right, because when you have the manufacturers, the practitioners, the instructors, the students coming, and when I pitch them, what I'm selling and the concept, right, most of them are they can feel the energy, and they actually purchase the products or ask me to come and help to do some demonstrations and all that, and that kind of so-called cosmic energy actually does work in ways to enrich people, and I feel that that's very positive. Where I get to earn my living doing it, while also helping people to get through their different kind of stress and stuff, struggles and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that that was very, very cool. And if you come to my studio, we have gongs and all that, and you can kind of try out. You can also feel. You can meditate. That kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, it's probably because I also have quite a strong belief in what you're talking about this like energy thing lah, because it's probably because of your whole outlook on life, and you give off this energy that people kind of want to connect, and that's why you are able to make a living of it as well, right? Thank you so much for sharing, Benny. I think it is also important for us to also put it out there lah, that for people who are on the spectrum, if with the correct support system, which you obviously have family and like close friends who kind of are able to vibe with you and things like that, with a correct support system, people on the spectrum can actually achieve amazing things like Benny, who has obviously is a lot more aware right now. You've gone through a little bit of a journey, and I really look forward to seeing this project that you're talking about and what more you will achieve in life.
I mean, just don't give out, and like the system now is so much better now than 10 years ago. So yeah. That's all.
Nice. Okay, so if anybody is keen, right, on like connecting with you, or like they want to kind of go down to your studio and check out these gongs and magic, healing items, and like they're interested in drums and anything, where can they actually find you online? You can share with our audience.
Oh yeah, like SingaporeDrumShop.com, our IG Singapore Drum Shop. Yeah, I can just connect lah. Yeah.
And where's your shop? Where can they find your studio?
We are at Excelsior, so we're right beside Funan. Yeah.
Nice.
It's just pretty near town. Yeah.
Awesome. So if you ever are keen on connecting with Benny, maybe you're a musician, or maybe you're looking for some kind of like what do you call this, healing percussion or healing?
Yeah.
Items like Benny would know better. I don't know much.
Sound healing.
Sound healing. Like please reach out to Benny from the Singapore Drum Shop.
Yeah.
And if you know anybody who is on the spectrum, also I urge you to kind of consider to give them the support rather than limiting their capabilities, because Benny is really living proof that if with the correct support system and continuing to like pursue what you want to pursue, you can really do amazing things in life.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Benny. Thank you,
man.
and we'll see you next time on the One Day at a Time podcast.